Here's a really creative way to think about difficult times in your life. And I saw this podcast clip and I was like, wow, actually, that makes a lot of sense. And that's really clever. And I really like the way that Alex thought through this. And so I wanted to share it with you guys. And so I'm going to put this clip up and then I'm going to tell you my thoughts.
If you think about, like, people understand video games. So it's like if you were playing a video game and the way to win the game was to make the most successful character, you would have probably a really character driven human being in terms of, like, they'd be patient, they'd be hardworking. Like, you think about all these traits that they would have, right? They'd probably be tough emotionally, like, etc. All right, cool. That's the character. And that's the person who's going to be really successful. We can all probably agree on that. Okay. How do you create someone who's patient? How do you create someone who's tough? How do you create someone who, right? So all of a sudden, if we had to then engineer the game in order to boost those points, we'd have to get them beat up a lot so that they could get tough. We'd have to make them wait a long time so they could become patient. And so to the point that you made about, like, these people who become really successful have these traits and also share the fact that they've been through all this shit. It's like, well, they got the trait from the shit, and then the trait was the ultimate output of the experience, and that trait then made them super successful that they didn't have earlier.
You know what's crazy? If you really think about that and break it down, every time you do get fucked over, you actually end up being the person that won.
Yeah, on a long enough time horizon.
Yeah.
You end, like, the person with the highest character wins on the longer time horizon.
Bad things aren't happening to you. They're happening for you. This is how you get to the next level. Think of it like bench press or any sport, right? Like, you don't become a faster sprinter by not sprinting. You don't become a better runner by not running. You don't become a stronger bench presser by not lifting more weights. And you don't become more patient without having your patience tested. You don't become more resilient without going through things that make you resilient. Everybody wants to have these character traits, but they want, like, the easy button. And I think Alex does a really good job of summarizing why it's common for people who have achieved these things, who have these character traits, to have gone through this adversity and come out on the other end stronger and better for it, right? And that's a common trait. Now, there is survivor bias and there is this and the other, right? Like, those are the people who made it. There are people who go through that adversity and get crushed. Like, let's not negate that, right? So we are seeing the people who made it. That's the survivor bias. That's like saying chemo works because people survive cancer. There are people who had chemo and did not survive. So everything, grain of salt. But nonetheless, the point stands. You build these traits up by going through the opposite, right? Food for thought.